Welcome to From Z's to Degrees, a presentation on the best sleep hygiene habits to promote success and wellness. This is a workshop in a series of self-help presentations developed by CAPS to support FAU students in reaching their academic and personal goals. I'm Dr. Lauren David, one of the staff therapists at CAPS, and I'll be leading the presentation today. To start with, let's talk about what sleep actually is. Simply put, sleep is a very basic component of our functioning as humans. Sleep is a physiological state that allows the body and mind to rest from the day and recuperate to get us ready for the next day. It is a fact of life that every single one of us needs to sleep in order to function well. People often wonder how much sleep they should actually be getting a night. Research has shown that for young adults, which is most college students, the right amount of sleep to promote your best health and success is 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. However, studies have also shown that a full quarter of college students get less than 6.5 hours of sleep a night, which is below the recommended 7 to 8 hours. Additionally, half of college students say that the sleep they do get is of poor quality and that they regularly feel sleep deprived. Our sleep cycle is in part a function of our circadian rhythm, which is an internal biological rhythm that controls how sleepy we feel across the day. As you can see by the graph, most people normally have their lowest levels of alertness, or peak sleepiness, in the middle of the night, around 3 a.m. Conversely, we are at our peak alertness in the early afternoon. We have found, though, that teenagers especially can have a delayed circadian rhythm, so that their peak sleepiness happens later in the night or early in the morning. This means they aren't tired in the late evening hours and end up going to sleep much later, which can make it especially hard to get enough sleep to be awake again for an 8 a.m. class. Another important component of sleep is the hormone melatonin, which is controlled by the pineal gland in our brain and is the actual biological mechanism that creates our circadian rhythm. Melatonin doesn't like bright light and is triggered when the sun goes down in the evening and the light becomes dimmer. It is this hormone circulating in our bodies that actually causes the feelings of sleepiness and prepares us for sleep, usually around 9 p.m. But with the advent of technology that uses bright light, such as our phones, tablets, computers, TVs, or game systems, the release of melatonin can actually be delayed. This then delays your feelings of sleepiness to later in the night, which can also make it harder to go to sleep earlier. To review and to connect how these biological systems are relevant to you, a college student getting enough sleep, here are a few things that create poor sleep habits in college students especially. One is its potential for having a delayed circadian rhythm, purely due to your age. Remember, teenagers seem to experience circadian rhythms that are skewed to make them sleepier later in the night and less alert in the morning, which doesn't often align well with obligations imposed by the broader society, like going to class or work. Second, during college, you might be staying up late during the week in order to hang out with friends or romantic partners, to study, or because you don't feel sleepy because of your circadian rhythm, but you still have those early morning classes to get to. So you tell yourself it's acceptable to sleep for fewer hours than is healthy for you. And then, because you still need those hours that you are shortchanging yourself during the week, you probably change your sleep schedule on the weekends to try to, quote-unquote, make up for lost sleep during the week. This ends up looking like very different sleep patterns on weekday nights and weekend nights, rather than being consistent across all of the days, which we'll talk more about later. So here's what we know about how your sleep habits can relate to how well you do in school. We know that the quality of sleep you get is actually quite important in how well your brain is working, or your cognitive performance. We learn new information through the processes of encoding and consolidating, which naturally happen when we sleep. This means sleep is key in learning new information. Not getting enough sleep can also make it much harder to focus and concentrate during the day, so you probably aren't absorbing as much information in your classes or study time if you're sleep deprived. Being sleepy during the day has been proven to be a major factor in having poor academic performance. So we do not perform as well on tests and quizzes if we're sleepy. On the other hand, getting the right amount of sleep and having it be good quality sleep is related to getting better grades. Clearly, sleep has a major impact on how well you can do in school. Outside of academic performance, there's also a lot of research to tie sleep to our overall health. For instance, poor sleepers are less likely to eat regular, healthy meals. They also have a harder time regulating emotions, so they might feel more of a roller coaster of emotions or experience an overall increase in feelings of stress, anxiety, and depression. Not getting enough quality sleep is also related to people experiencing more strain in their relationships, probably because they're having a harder time with their emotions. And finally, poor sleepers might be more likely to use alcohol and drugs to cope with their difficulties in an unhealthy way, which can actually circle back and cause sleep problems to get even worse. Now let's talk about how to cultivate sleep habits that will set you up to sleep better. First, our habits around sleep are very important. As I mentioned before, consistency in your sleep schedule is critical. Our internal biological systems enjoy consistency, so it's helpful to try to go to sleep and wake up at roughly the same time every day of the week. So while it's tempting to sleep in on weekends, this isn't the best practice and usually means you'll need to adjust your schedule to get more sleep during the week. Next, try not to nap during the day unless you really are consistently getting only a short amount of sleep at night. This is important because sleeping too much during the day can throw off that circadian rhythm and make you not tired again at nighttime. Next, you'll want to use your bed for only what it's made for, sleeping, and potentially sexual activity. If you start doing things like homework on your bed, your brain will start to associate the stress and cognitive alertness that often comes with working to your bed, rather than being a place of relaxation and enjoyment. You'll also want to limit the time you actually spend in your bed not sleeping for similar reasons. If you find yourself lying awake at night, thinking or worrying, your brain does not experience your bed as a restful place. You will want to get out of bed for a while until you feel more calm or engage in a relaxation activity to help to calm your mind. We'll talk more about these types of activities towards the end of the workshop today. It's also important to have your bedroom set up in a way that is most conducive to sleep. Some ways to do this are to sleep in an environment that is physically comfortable and you feel comfortable in. Having a comfortable mattress for your body, whether that is a firmer or softer mattress, and keeping the temperature cooler are two tips. The best temperature is probably below 70 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit. You'll also want to keep your room quiet without any distracting noises. If there are things that make noise that are out of your control, perhaps invest in some earplugs or a white noise machine if that sound is soothing to you. Lastly, you'll want to keep your room as dark as you can, free from any type of light. This can mean light from digital alarm clocks, cell phones, computers, or coming from the hallway or out the window. You may have to turn cell phones and computers off, get some curtains or blinds, turn your clock away from you, or even sleep with an eye mask covering your eyes to block out the light. There are also things you can do during the day to set you up to get good sleep at night. One is to limit any strenuous physical activity or exercise in the 3 to 5 hours before you want to go to sleep. Too much activity can re-energize you and is contradictory to the idea of relaxing before bed. Similarly, you'll want to limit drinking any alcohol or caffeine or using any nicotine products in the 3 to 5 hours before bedtime. All of these substances change the way our bodies function and can actually disrupt your ability to fall asleep or stay asleep during the night. You'll also want to stay away from any other activities that could increase your mental alertness or physical arousal, like doing schoolwork or having an argument with someone. Being in this mental or physical state will make it harder for you to feel relaxed enough to fall asleep. Lastly, and maybe most importantly in this day and age, you should really try to avoid using any technology in the hours before you go to sleep. This means turning off the TV, putting away your phone, not sending any emails or streaming any shows, and not using any other types of electronics that have a bright light. This is helpful for two reasons. First, to limit the bright light coming into your eyes so that your circadian rhythm can work the way it's supposed to, but also to again keep you from becoming too mentally or emotionally activated and not relaxed enough to fall asleep. If you've made it this far in the presentation, you might now be thinking, but how do I actually relax enough to fall asleep at night? Well, here are a few tips. Much like small children do, adults also benefit from having a relaxing bedtime routine. Think about what activities you find relaxing. This could be a warm shower or bath, reading for pleasure, listening to calming music, or drinking a warm and uncaffeinated beverage. All of these activities encourage your mind and body to slow down and prepare for sleep by relaxing. It's also helpful to turn the lights lower, remembering that dim lighting is important for that release of melatonin, and to change into comfortable clothes for sleeping. You might also try getting into bed 30 minutes before you want to turn your lights out to sleep, so that your brain starts to know that you'll be going to sleep soon. This can be more helpful than staying on the couch right until you go to sleep, because it again promotes your body to get ready to sleep. Finally, many people find that doing a relaxation or breathing exercise will especially help to calm their thoughts and relax their bodies. There are even sleep-specific guided meditations targeted to help you drift off to a peaceful slumber. Take a look at the link below for a body scan for sleep guided meditation through the UCLA Mindful Awareness Research Center if you want to try one out. Lastly, I want to point out a few clinical sleep disorders to be on the lookout for. First would be insomnia. This is a pronounced difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep, or could even be waking up early in the morning and being unable to fall back asleep. The opposite disorder is hypersomnia, where you experience excessive sleepiness despite getting an adequate amount of sleep. Next is narcolepsy, a disorder where you feel an inescapable need to sleep or frequently fall asleep at random during the day. Lastly is obstructive sleep apnea, which is a medical condition that can cause a person to have difficulty breathing numerous times during a night. If you experience any of the above sleep problems, please consult with a psychologist or medical doctor to receive treatment. for joining me in this presentation today. If you are a registered student at FAU, we welcome you to visit us at our Counseling Center, the Counseling and Psychological Services Office. Our services are free and confidential, and you can call or come into our office to schedule an initial appointment.